to experience the real uncut. Are you ready?
Welcome back, The Real Uncut, Adam Jason, episode 28.
What's good?
You're
What's
listening
happening,
to The
dude?
Real Uncut
Oh man, this is a scary one, bro.
Scary, but
Yeah.
I'm going to enjoy it with my limited edition Broncos Bud Light can here.
All right. You got all your doors locked?
Cheers. Yeah, doors locked, windows shut,
Good,
lights
good,
on.
good. You never know, bro.
You never know, right? Today we're going to go back to the 70s when the serial killer phenomenon was going on, and talking about motherfuckers that, killed multiple people, right?
So many of them out there back then, though.
So many, dude.
Hey,
And these four guys that we're going to talk about, Gacy, Ramirez, Bundy, and Dahmer. These guys took out over 100 people, right? In the 70s, from like 74 to 81. Like it wasn't a huge like span over time. It was just it was a short period of time that this shit happened. And a lot of people lost their lives over serial killers.
oh,
And
because there was they weren't caught back then. You know what I mean?
no, there was no like DNA. There was no, um, police departments were talking to each other.
Yeah. There's cameras everywhere now.
Oh,
Phones.
dude, you
No,
get a
they can't do
Tesla, you got
nothing.
like 10 cameras on your car.
Yeah. I mean, even there, like you get into, an argument with somebody, boom, they got their phone right in your face. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh, dude, that's what like people are
doesn't even matter.
quick to pull out their phone rather than help somebody out.
Right. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
you're right.
I got
Yeah.
I got to get the camera. I got to get the camera out so I can get
You
footage
go
of this so I
viral.
can post it. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, man. I don't know. I mean, I'm happy that there's a lot of cameras out nowadays because I don't want to see this kind of stuff going on from back then. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, the police would put out, there's the night stalker out there. And everybody's on edge.
The Night
Um
Stalker. Who names him the Night Stalker, bro?
so so I
Like
guess you got
even makes more people afraid. You know what I mean?
yeah, the night stalker. So apparently he used to peep through windows is how he got started. Richard Ramirez, the night stalker. He had a psychopathic cousin that was a Vietnam War vet, and old Richard, he was like 13 years old, um,
Yeah.
impressionable, trying to find a father figure in his life, and his cousins, showing him pictures of Vietnam women being raped and murdered, and and he kind of taught him, the ways to become a burglar and how to be a shadow in the night, and put the war, the war mentality into his head, and Richard ran with it, and he
Have you been around? Have you been around Vietnam vets?
I have, yeah, I
Man,
have. I have a really good
they really
buddy.
went through some crap, bro. I mean, they really went through some hard times.
Yeah,
I
I
can
have
only
a
imagine just what kind of psychological impact it had on people that had to be involved in that war.
yeah,
Knowing the things that they saw, just horrible.
wars in general, not just Vietnam, but other wars too. PTSD, it's a real thing. And on the topic of serial killers and PTSD and childhood trauma, a lot of these cases that these four individuals that we're talking about, that we're bringing up, that we're kind of highlighting in this episode, you got Ted Bundy, Richard Ramirez, Dahmer, and Gacy. They're all victims of childhood trauma.
Right.
And I think a lot of what they did, and their murders was a big impact of what they grew up with, and how they lived as a child, right?
Honestly, I think it'd still be hard to identify, at a young age, who was going to become a serial killer. You know what I mean? Because, I see a lot of them have, rough childhoods and the way they were brought up. And I just, I've seen a lot of people that have gone through that type of thing. You know what I mean?
Right. And it's, mental health too. Um, Back in the 70s, it wasn't, it was kind of frowned upon to be abnormal, to be, to have some sort of condition. And, it might have been relevant, but it wasn't talked about like it is now. Right.
Right. Well, back
Um,
in our days, I remember going to school. Everybody was like, you can get made fun of over something stupid.
yeah, over something
A
stupid.
shirt you wore or some pants you were wearing, it just,
And, everybody was a retard and everybody,
yeah.
and it was okay to say that kind of shit.
Well, I
But you
mean,
never you
but
never knew you never knew what, that kid was going through, and we're talking about the 90s with us growing up. Imagine back in the 70s before, if it was that bad in the 90s, imagine what it was like in the 70s. It's
right.
probably 10 times worse.
Oh yeah, for sure. And plus, like we were saying, no cameras, things like that. I mean, people just got away with anything. You know what I mean? Like for the most part,
Oh,
like
yeah.
whatever they planned up. I mean, it was just a free for all, basically.
Yeah, now you can't walk up to somebody's door without, your video, right?
Right.
Everybody has a Ring doorbell or whatever. So you're spotted walking up to somebody's door, and being noticed.
Exactly. Well, just like aliens creeping up to your back door.
We're not going back to the alien
No,
shit.
I'm not going back to aliens. It catches anything,
Right.
I know when I was a kid, we used to run up and knock on the door and run. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do
What'd they
that.
call that?
No, I don't know what they call it, man. I don't
Ding
know.
dong ditch.
Yeah, ding dong ditch.
There you go.
That's what it is.
Yeah, serial killers, people love them. I mean, a lot of that shit happened back in the 70s and it's still relevant. We're still talking about it. Netflix is still making movies about it.
Right.
Yeah, they're getting ready to come out with a new Netflix series for Ted Bundy. Dude, that was 74 when all that shit happened. And
The one
it's
that was out recent, I couldn't bear to watch it, man. I watched some of it, but
oh,
I just couldn't. I just
the
couldn't watch it, man. It was brutal.
the Dahmer.
Oh, the Dahmer, yeah.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
Dahmer. It was
Yeah.
just,
So
I had to turn it off, bro.
that's the monster series that Netflix came out with, and I enjoyed it, dude. I really enjoyed it. Like I said, we as I guess you would call us sane people still have interests in what makes people click and what makes people do crazy shit like murder people. And it's a big fascination with us as a human race.
Yeah,
No matter where you're from, we like that shit. We like to see what causes people to do that. And
exactly. Like we want to see the signs, so we can point
that
them
that
out,
that
you know.
Dahmer series was really good. It broke down human life. It broke down, you know, not all people are normal, right?
Right.
Childhood
None
trauma,
of us were normal. I mean, and to a certain extent.
it could, it could affect a human's life to cause them to do some fucking monster shit, but it's real, right?
What took him over the edge, though? You know what I mean?
He grew up in a his parents fought. Every parents fight, right? It's just us as humans. We be around somebody for too long and we just don't get along. We fight, whatever. But if you're dealing with some mental health shit on top of that, and he was never shown any love or affection, shit that we need. They say that us as humans, we need so many signs of affection throughout the day to make us feel normal, right?
Right.
Whether it's a brush on the shoulder, whether it's a hug, whether it's a kiss, whether it's a
Yeah.
handshake, whatever it is, we need those signs, as a human being. That's just the way we roll. We need
Yeah.
those signs of affection.
Yeah, I
And
want to feel that acceptance
exactly.
from other
And
people.
and as a kid, like Dahmer, like a young Dahmer, if you don't get that kind of shit and you're already dealing with some other shit, that's gonna fuck your life up,
Right.
right? There was reports that, when he was a young kid, that he used to play with like roadkill, and he had an obsession with dead animals. Um, and it was something that he shared with his dad. He didn't get any other attention, love, affection outside of dissecting animals or fucking with animal bones or whatever. He got that interaction with that specific animal, or roadkill, or whatever it was, and that's something that he carried throughout his life.
I mean,
And
dissecting them is one thing, but when you're
right, but
brutal
you
with animals is something different. You know what I
but you
mean?
can, like I said, I like to dissect shit. I like to break it down. I like to see what the root cause of something is.
Right.
And watching and hearing, like, I've listened to multiple podcasts about Jeffrey Dahmer. I've watched shows, I've read books. Like, I've felt his story, and not that I agree with it, but I can see where it came from. Like,
Yeah.
he was trying to relive good memories in his mind, that he did some weird shit and some brutal shit, when he was an adult, but it all stemmed back from that childhood memory, the childhood good things that happened in his life.
Did he have a good childhood as far as parents go?
No, he had a
Oh,
bad, they divorced, and
I think that's huge. You know,
yeah,
because
they divorced. They were always fighting.
the kids
Um,
watch that and it kind of rolls downhill. You know, they take it out.
no,
They take it out on the kids, or they
100%.
they use the
Yeah.
kid against the other parent. And, just it's a whole mess. You know what I mean?
Oh, it is. And breaking down the psychology of it all, I guess you would say. It was the feel good stuff that, yeah, I don't condone the shit that he did. It was some psycho crazy shit that he did, but I can see it, you know, sparking the feel good in his life, right? So a lot of the cases that we know of, it was always him looking for companionship, but he didn't want to get rejected, right? So there was
Right.
case reports that he would kill his victim just because he was obsessed with the male figure, the male form, his body. There was reports that, there was a runner that would come by shirtless with, he was just ripped, and Jeffrey was like so overwhelmed with how perfect his body was that he wanted to fill his bone
Taste it.
structure and shit like that.
You want to
Uh,
taste?
yeah, not yet, not yet, not yet. But the psychology of it all, or whatever, the psychoanalyst analyst of it, you can see where it's coming from. If you look at it from a genuine side of some psychopath, you can understand it, right? He shared that moment with his father that, a lot of us look back on, shit we shared with our parents and with
Mhm.
fathers in general. And, as a child, you go back and you look and you're like, okay, I love that moment in time. And him, as a fucking psychopath serial killer, saw something that sparked that interest, that something that made him feel good in that moment of time. Right or wrong, it still made him feel that way, if that makes sense.
So he wanted to keep it as a reminder.
Yeah, I
You
I
you know
I
what I
think
mean? Like, I don't
yeah.
know what he got from it, but he wanted to
He yeah,
maybe
he
go
would
back to it later. Like, I don't know, that feel good moment that he
ex
always yearned for.
exactly, and that's what. So, all the murders that he committed, there's reports that, he'd kill somebody, have sex with them, and lay on top of them, right? Like you would with, with the female or whatever, like you would cuddle with them, caress their body, spoon, right? Whatever it was, if they were dead, there was no possibility of rejection, right?
Right.
There's no possibility of them saying, no, I don't want this, or no, I don't, it,
Yeah, makes total sense. Yeah.
it makes 100%. Like I said, I'm not, I'm not condoning this shit.
Spot on though.
I'm digging deep into the mind of a fucking monster.
Right.
And I 100% believe that we know that that's what made him feel good. That's why he killed 17 dudes, right?
Somebody that's not gonna leave him, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what
Yeah.
it is, that sense of loss or that sense of being left behind.
The heartbreak that he endured as a child, like he never wanted to feel that. And the only way to not have that feeling again and still be the dominant person in that scenario or that situation is to kill the person, right?
Yeah.
And he came out and he admitted, like, he didn't want to kill the person. Like, he said it straight up. Like, I didn't want to murder that person. But that psychoanalyst, the powerful mind shit that we go through, that was his way of dealing with it, and him being able to love, right, and not get rejected.
It's crazy how he would he drilled a hole in one of their heads while they were
Yeah,
still
so
alive, right?
that was another
One of that,
science. That
you
was
know?
another science experiment that he dealt with his dad. They fucked around with like frogs and shit like that, where they would, do random experiments or whatever. And that's something that he wanted to, after the killings, and he wanted something real that wasn't dead anymore, but that he can still control. So he did an experiment on a 14-year-old boy where he took a drill with a drill bit and drilled into this kid's head, injected acid
While he's still alive.
while he's still alive, to basically make him a zombie.
And the kid got away.
Kid got away,
And someone found him. These two women found him and alerted the police, right? Is that
right? Yeah, police came.
Right? It was naked.
Naked, right? Yeah, they were getting ready to do whatever they were doing. Right.
Here comes Dahmer. That's my boyfriend.
Yeah. Well, and rewind. So this kid, like, out of all the guys that he brought home, a lot of them rejected. A lot of them said that, hey, I don't want to be here. Hey, I got to go home. Because he would ask them, he'd be like, so what's your plan? Like, you want to stay? You want to stay the night? And a lot of them were like, oh no, I got to go. I got shit to do.
Probably the worst thing to tell him.
Yeah.
He wasn't looking for that. He wanted somewhere to stay.
Right. This one kid is like, yeah, I ain't got nothing to do. I'll chill with you or whatever. So he felt like, all right, so I got him in my web or whatever. I don't want to kill him. I just want him to be my love toy or whatever. So he tried this experiment on him, drilled a hole in his head, put acid in it. There was even reports that he tried it with like hot boiling water or whatever. So I'm not too sure about the details of what happened on this one, but I think it was acid. Kid gets free. He wanders out into the streets. Two women find him. They're freaking out. They call the cops. They're like, this kid, something's wrong with this kid. Cops show up. Jeffrey's down there acting like nothing happened, like he didn't do shit. Apparently the kid had long hair, so they couldn't see the hole in his head.
I was gonna say, like, why didn't they see that?
Yeah, no, apparently he had like long hair, so they couldn't see it.
Crazy.
Yeah, so the cops are like, what the fuck? Who are you? The women that found him, they're like, this is a child, something's wrong. Jeffrey's like, no, this is my adult boyfriend. He's drunk. He told me just get him home safe. Cops escort him back up to Jeffrey's hotel or apartment complex, and release him to Jeffrey. Right?
Wow.
Yeah, it's just
And
crazy
then
how that
just
shit
finished
works.
him off at that point.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he probably would have died anyway, to be honest. In the state he was in, someone drills a hole in your head and pours acid in, I'm sure there's not any. You're not coming back.
Right, some sort of infection or whatever.
I mean, that's disgusting.
Yeah. And that was just one of the instances that happened. There's multiple, 17 different incidents that happened when, he committed murder. Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
there's
he was putting
there
pieces of them in the fridge.
dude, hearts and livers and shit like
Yeah.
that. There was one report that apparently he killed this dude. Went to his big thing was going to the gay nightclubs or the gay bathhouses or whatever, the massage parlors and shit. He would frequent this club 219 or something like that. I can't remember what it was called, but he would frequent these clubs, and it got so bad because he was drugging all the dudes he would meet, and it got so bad that the club owner banned him from coming in because there was always some shit going on.
He was drugging him there at the
Yeah,
place.
he was drugging him at the bathhouse or whatever.
Oh, geez.
But yeah, he would hit up all these clubs, and it was the same routine. You know what I mean? He was, the charmer, get him to come back. His big thing was like, I'll pay you $50 if you let me take pictures of you. That's how he would lure them back to the house, and then drug them up with like sleeping pills, and then when they pass out, he'd kill them or whatever.
Chop him up.
Yeah, yeah. Well, there was a report that he did the same routine, brought a dude back to the house, killed him on his bed, like stabbed him on his bed. He was like literally dead on the bed for 2 or 3 days, and Jeffrey was like cuddling with him, and as he was dead, having sex with him
He's
and shit.
thinking at that point.
Yeah, yeah. That's
I mean,
yeah,
for real.
there was multiple reports of like his neighbors. I could only imagine. I remember all the apartment complexes that I've lived in the past. It's close quarters. Somebody's cooking
Right.
fucking fish. You smell it down the hallway.
Oh,
Could you
yeah.
imagine? Could you imagine decomposing bodies? Like him having some dude like dead on his bed for 2-3 days. It's crazy.
I mean, did he do anything to try to cover the smell up? Because
So,
obviously the neighbors reported it, right?
oh yeah, they were
His neighbors,
reporting it.
I mean,
Yeah, they
'cause he
were.
was trying to put it down the drains, body parts. I think that's what I read.
Yeah, so he went out and he got like this 80-gallon fucking pot, like something that you would cook menudo in. Like if you had a big
Ugh.
like Mexican family.
Oh, man. Oh, no, no.
The one with like you put pig feet in and fucking
Oh, my gosh.
the head and
Some seasoning in
shit. Yeah, so he had this big fucking stock pot that he would like boil the fucking skin off and shit.
there.
And then he had like 55-gallon drums in his room where he got like some sort of acetone or whatever it is to decompose the flesh and shit. And apparently that's what the neighbors were smelling. And
What, the
apparently,
acetone or what?
yeah, well, the decomposing bodies.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah, so so a big like apparently a big thing that he had was like trophies, and he wanted to
Right.
keep a piece of his victims with him. So he cut like genitals and skulls and shit like that. He just had a stockpile of shit.
Disgusting.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
I thought I saw something about him keeping the skulls.
Yeah, I know he had like
He had like lay in his room or something.
yeah, he had like 7 skulls over the course of his killing. For a brief moment, he lived with his 83-year-old grandma, and he'd bring dudes over there, and she was, she was faith based, and went to church and shit like that. So she never agreed with anything. And there was more.
What?
What's that?
What do you mean Denver agreed with anything? Like just
She never agreed with him bringing over
lifestyle?
dudes and shit like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
and he'd have all this fucking crazy ass like bones and shit in his room, and she found some of the shit, and like she never really believed that that it was real or whatever, but she knew who he was hiding shit.
Right.
So it was just like, grandma being nosy or whatever. But
Dang it, Grandma.
yeah. Leave my boyfriends alone.
She didn't turn him in, though. Huh? She didn't do anything about it.
Yeah. Yeah, so some sick shit. One thing that I remember about that show, The Monster or whatever, that Netflix series, he was talking to a psychiatrist, and he had, it stems back to when, he grew up with his, his father dissecting shit and learning about animals. And there was a part in the show where he was talking to a psychiatrist, and they were talking about how the flesh of the animal like really sexually aroused him, and
Of the animal?
like the flesh of the animal,
Mm.
like the glistening, the smoothness or whatever. And the psychiatrist, she referred it to like female genitalia or male genitalia or whatever. And the way they broke it down, it was like, all right, that makes sense in science, right?
Mhm.
It's fucked up in real life of how like somebody could, get that deep and have an obsession for something like that. But the scientific explanation of it was really genuine, right? It made sense of why in his mind it was
It's
okay.
sexual.
Yeah, it was, it was arousing to him.
Oh, okay.
The psychiatrist like made it similar to what a vagina is and how it looks moist and creation and shit like that. They broke it down into some pretty scientific shit, but it made sense of why that would make him do what he does, and why there was an arousal to it. It's sick and twisted shit, but when you get deep into it, you understand exactly what they're talking about. You know what I mean?
Right. He's basically seeing something that none of us see. We don't see
Exactly.
something the same way as he might see it. He's
Exactly.
Yeah.
It sparks a chemistry or whatever in his brain that makes it feel all right.
So let's talk about he was eating some people, right?
Oh
That
yeah, yeah. And yeah, and the psychologists were even breaking that shit down, like how he, his trophies, and he wanted to be closer, he wanted to dominate the situation, that he got it into his mind that he wanted to be closer to his victim. So he went as far as eating them to keep it into his system, like
it's a part of him at that point.
yeah, a part of him. It's something that he can carry on, not, not physically, but it's a part of his system.
It's a mental thing too.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think about putting an end to Dahmer and going on to the Night Stalker, Richard Ramirez?
Oh yeah, the Night Stalker.
A good dude, right?
Call him the Night Stalker. Put everybody else more in fear.
Right?
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, they yeah, when that was, yeah, it was right about the same time, 70s. Not only do we have Dahmer, we got fucking Ted Bundy, now we got the Night Stalker.
This guy was running up in people's houses.
Yeah, yeah, he
Murdering
was.
and
He
murdering.
was.
I mean, that
He
people were
and
in so much fear at that time from him. You know what I'm saying? Just that. Hopefully, you had your doors locked because back then you probably didn't. I don't know if you did.
right, back in the day, nobody, everybody slept with their window open or doors unlocked or whatever, probably even open at
Right.
that time. And he had a fucked up childhood, same as Dahmer. His
Yeah.
dad used to beat him, crazy shit. He gets in
Right.
trouble. He gets in trouble at school, being a kid, comes home, his dad fucks him up. There was even a there was a report that, one day his dad beat the shit out of him, like really, really bad. Dad felt bad. Family sees dad in the garage beating his head with a fucking hammer. So the dad felt bad, so he's gonna punish himself. And he's
Right.
punishing himself by beating himself in the head with a hammer. Right? That's psychotic shit too.
Some mental issues there too.
Yeah. So
Sure.
you can
Sure.
only imagine what what he went through as a kid, right?
Right. Was his mom around?
Yeah, his mom was there. So they were apparently they were devoted Catholics, like really big into the Catholic Church. Dad just had a temper, and used to beat the kids, and had a short fuse or whatever. So
Right.
that's where it started.
But
Later on,
Richard was he was satanic, wasn't he?
yeah, later on down the
Thing
road.
too.
So
Okay.
after going through all the shit that he did with the ass beatings at home, his older cousin, significantly older, just got back from Vietnam War, probably dealing with some PTSD shit, fighting some demons. Richard's looking for, a father figure, or, somebody that he can rely on outside of his dad. So Miguel, that was cousin's name, Miguel, 13-year-old Richard is looking for a father figure, and this guy's coming straight out of Vietnam with some fucking horrible stories.
Mhm.
Um, and he starts telling Richard about, all these rapes and murders and shit that he did back in Vietnam, showing him pictures and shit. And Richard, being a impressionable 13-year-old, looking for that way out of his father's life, you know gets hooked up with this fucking knucklehead. And his cousin showing, teaching him how to kill, how to break into houses, how to hide in the night, become the night stalker. Just not the type of guy that you want around a troubled youth, right?
I'm just wondering how this whole satanic thing came into play, because I guess he was, after he would kill, he would leave pentagrams and things like that.
Oh yeah, he used to paint the shells of the bullets of his gun. He used to paint the rim red. But yeah, after he killed, he used to put the pentagram up, and that was his
With their blood.
that was his moniker.
I think he would
Yeah,
do with
blood.
their blood of the victims, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
And I'm just wondering if that goes back to like him being raised Catholic and then how brutal his father was.
I think so. I
Kind
think
of
I
like
think that
thought, oh, I'm going to do the opposite now. You know
I
what I mean?
think exactly that's what it was. Is he was raised, in Catholic faith or whatever, and that failed him. So he had to go to the polar opposite of what his family believed in, his family that hurt him.
Yeah.
And the opposite of that is Satanism or whatever. And he really believed in that. And throughout all of his murders and shit that he went through, he believed that Satan was guiding him and was protecting him.
Mhm.
um there's even there's even talks about, he used to love AC/DC, the band, Highway to Hell or whatever. He came out and said that Satan wrote those songs for him. Like, they wrote those songs through AC/DC for him.
They were talking to him, huh?
Yeah, yeah, that was like his his music. And shortly after, when he was 13, he witnessed his cousin brutally murder his wife. So they were at the cousin's house. The wife and the cousin got into a fight. Apparently, the cousin
That'll
had
mess you.
a I'm sorry?
Oh, that'll mess you up right there.
Right. Oh, yeah, just the fight. 13 years old, you're growing up in a house that's aggressive like that, and you're seeing it off of your role model, and then you see your role model go to his refrigerator where apparently he kept a handgun, and, pulled it out. The wife's like, "Oh, you ain't gonna shoot me," and the cousin shoots the wife and kills her right in front of
Right,
your, 13-year-old
right in front
cousin.
of you. Yeah.
Yeah, so, murder was relevant to him, and it was a way out. And it was a problem to all of his shit, and made him feel better. And as he got older, that's when he started getting into, Satanism, and, reading the Book of Satan or whatever, and he felt like that was his guiding light and his protector. Those were his sacrifices to Satan or whatever.
Oh, okay.
um, and that's why his
He was having
moniker
sex
his
with the
moniker was
bodies, too.
the
He was having
pentagram.
sex with the bodies too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he
After he
did. So early in his killing career, or whatever you want to call it, he did. But after that, he was really known as like a sloppy murderer, a sloppy serial killer. Just because he was drug fueled, he did coke, he did whatever else, and he was really sloppy when it came
he
to
wasn't
it.
trying to dispose of the bodies or anything like that.
No, he
Just
like
left them there.
yeah, there was a couple of them that he like bludgeoned and just left, and he didn't finish the job or whatever. It was until like a year after or something that he remembered words that his cousin was teaching him, how to be a trained killer, like a militant, like a military guy, and how you had to have a clear head when you're killing. And him being a drug addict and relying a lot on drugs and doing a lot of drugs, he made a stance to stop fucking doing drugs so he can
Mm.
murder better, so he can rob and burglarize better. So if that ain't some fucking psycho shit, if you're a fucking
Yeah.
drug addict, could you imagine saying, I'm gonna clean my fucking life up so I can murder better, so I can commit crimes better? That just shows you that something ain't fucking right.
I think I saw a documentary on this. I think it was called The Night Stalker. I'm not sure, but
I think
it was a while ago. And he picked up a young girl, and he may have raped her, but he either let her go or she got away,
okay.
and she was able to give the police a description
Yeah.
what he looked like. So
Yeah, and the description was always a tall Hispanic male with long hair and very bad breath.
okay.
So apparently all the all the drugs and shit that he used to do like rotted his teeth. So he had like horrible breath, and that's like that
Okay.
that followed him like throughout all of his identifications. Like everybody that identified him was, it was the long hair, tall Hispanic with bad teeth and bad breath.
So was he in like a taxi cab or something like that when they found out who he was? Like they saw he fit a description?
No, so the dumb fuck, so he I can't remember the year, but he stole a 79 Toyota Camry. It was orange. He pulled up to this house in Mission Vallejo, I think it was. I can't remember exactly. It was around that area, Whittier, somewhere around there. It was a higher upscale neighborhood for that time in California. He pulls up. There is like 1 a.m. There's this 13-year-old boy in his garage, like working on his scooter, like tightening wheels or whatever.
Mhm.
Boy sees the car pull up, but Richard doesn't notice the kid. Richard goes in, kills the husband, rapes the wife, and then leaves right away. Bolts off in this orange fucking Camry or whatever it is. The kid is like, this shit ain't right. So he jotted down the fucking license plate number
Mm.
and reports it to the cops. Richard, felt some weird shit, so he wiped down the car, except for like a thumbprint or a fingerprint on the rearview mirror.
Mm.
So the cops caught him, off of that fucking fingerprint.
But
From
how did the cops know what they were looking for? Like a certain car color or the
yeah, there was
all the
reports.
plate?
There was reports, like multiple reports off of the car, and then when the kid called it in, and then when they found it, they did all the fingerprint shit, and I
I thought
can't
some
remember.
people were holding him down or something.
That's when it came to an end.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So they were beating him up, basically.
Yeah, so it was a barber. So I picture like a downtown scene where he walked by and somebody noticed him, and a barber came out, and all the other like people that were in the area circled him and tackled him to the ground and started beating his ass, I guess, until the cops got there. Cops got there, hooked him up, threw him in the fucking car. And then as the cops taking him to jail or whatever, he starts humming a AC/DC song. And the cops like, you know, he's basically giving himself up because that was his, you know, that was his thing, right? AC/DC, that was supposed to be his like theme shit. So he starts humming that song, and then he tells the cop, he's like, the only way I want to die is by the electric chair. So he was basically saying, you know, I'm the Night Stalker. This is me. This is, you know, pretty much gave up.
Well, I think there was already a description of him, like
it was all over.
And on top of that, when they took him to jail, he was basically he thought he was famous at that point. So he was.
He knew he knew he was famous
in court. Everything, you know, he was rocking the shades, smiling,
doing interviews.
Yeah,
like, there was so many interviews.
And the women were flocking to him.
Oh yeah.
Even in the courtroom and everything like that. I remember that from the documentary.
Yeah,
it's just wild.
Yeah, it's wild, dude. That was it's like childhood trauma. Growing up in a Christian based family, rebelling against that and justifying it as your belief for Satan or whatever, you know, just so you believe it's okay.
Yeah, so he basically did some time, pled guilty, and eventually died in prison. 2013.
Died in prison. Yep.
Didn't get what he wanted. Didn't get the electric chair.
Yeah.
I think he got married in prison.
He did. Yeah, he did. And it seems to be the common thing is, you know, women like that kind of shit. I was listening to a psychologist talk about, you know, how women that find, you know, prisoners or somebody that like criminals that have committed like horrible crimes, you know, why they fall in love with them.
Right.
You know, it goes back to, you know, the feeling that they know where he's going to be at 100% of the time. They know that he's not going to cheat on them. You know, it's just some weird it's some weird shit,
well, he
bro.
could cheat, I guess. I'm saying, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, he could, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a whole nother topic, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, so we got Richard Ramirez in the book. We got Dahmer in the book.
I don't know too much about Gacy.
Gacy's a clown, bro.
Gacy the clown. Ogo the clown.
That's another fucked up. He was molested as a kid, 9 years old, fucking molested.
Always goes back to the same stuff, man.
Dad used to beat his ass. Dad used to fuck with him, tell him that he was a piece of shit, no good, you know, never lived up to dad's standards. You know, he suffered from congenital heart disorder that, you know, he couldn't do fucking physical activities, and dad always thought that was a sign of weakness. So dad used to fuck with him all the time, tell him that, you know, he's a piece of shit. So he grew up living that life.
Yeah.
And you know, I think that's where, you know, he targeted all of his, he was like Jeffrey Dahmer, all of his victims were kids. They were, you know, 14 to 21.
They were all men, weren't they?
Yeah, they were all guys, all kids. Yeah.
Yeah.
Used to, you know, entertain as a clown, dress up as a clown. That's how he got some of his victims was, you know, he'd do this handcuff trick and rope trick, fucking, you know, tie him up, kill him, bury him under his fucking porch, crawl space. You know, he was another one with a lot of murders. I think he was up to like 33, I believe. Just
people
a sick.
Used to hire him as a clown, come to their house.
That was his job. Yeah.
That was his undercover thing.
Yeah.
Alternate ego. What do you call that? Where they
alter ego,
where they become someone else.
Alter ego.
Yeah.
But you know, him too, he was a he was a productive member of society, politician, spent a lot of time in his community. But he had that dark side that, never, he never got over. He never got over the molestation, the bad upbringing,
And he used to bury people under his house.
Yeah, crawl
He had a crawl
space,
space. Yeah, crawl space
porch.
under his house.
So he got the death penalty, lethal injection,
Oh, okay.
and his famous last words was "kiss my ass." What a fuck! That's a true American fucking psycho right there.
Yeah. Well, he got what he deserved, so that's what
Yeah.
matters. He
Yeah,
can
for
say
sure.
whatever he wants, but it's disappointing that all these serial killers had to go through such hard lives as
Yeah,
kids.
there's a lot. There's
you
a
know.
lot. Like I get it. Some people have horrible upbringings, have horrible childhoods, but the percentage of serial killers to the percentage of normal everyday people that have gone through that shit, it's fucked up that happens. It's a real fucking thing.
Oh yeah, it's
But
real. You
it's
see it every day, even nowadays.
oh yeah,
With
yeah,
the
and
shootings and things like that. I mean, they say the same thing. The way they were brought up, bullied, all that kind of stuff. As a child in
yeah,
school. That's always where it stems from.
yeah. But there's only a small percentage that actually act out on it. The mind of a monster, the shit that we're talking about right now. It's just it's fucked up that mental health and shit back then was disregarded. There was we're just talking about 4 individuals, or we're going to be talking about 4 individuals, that had fucked up childhoods that actually carried on with it. But what about the other people that are living with it? You know what I mean? That
Right.
didn't take that avenue to hurt other people because they're hurting.
There must have been something in their lives that maybe turned the tide. You know what I'm saying? To where they didn't go that route.
Yeah, no, yeah. Everybody
Maybe
deals
they were.
everybody deals with something, and it's how you deal with it is what's important, right? Either you man up and fucking deal with it, or you take the short road and make yourself feel better and start fucking killing people.
Yeah.
It's fucking sad that we even have to talk about this, but shit's real. Monsters exist.
Yeah.
You want to talk about Ted Bundy?
Yeah, we can talk about Ted Bundy. I don't know too much about him, to be honest with you.
Yeah, he was born out of wedlock back in the 40s when that shit was frowned upon, forced to live with his grandparents. Grandpa was a fucking psycho. He used to abuse animals. There's reports that Ted saw his grandpa flinging cats by their tails and just some weird fucking shit.
I don't like cats either, but I
Yeah,
wouldn't
you wouldn't do that, right?
no, I won't do that.
Yeah, so Ted's an interesting one, interesting topic. Good looking guy, smart, went to college, studied law, was a politician, sat on the board of a law enforcement, community outreach program. He knew law. He knew how to deceive people and get away with shit, right?
Yeah.
His big thing. So, he went to the Washington University in Seattle, and he met a girl, fell in love with her. She broke his heart, broke up with him, and he was devastated. And they say that he targeted girls that look like her, long brunette hair, parted down the middle. All of his victims,
Which was a lot of women back then.
back in the 70s, right? That was a
Wore that
pretty
hairstyle.
standard look. But they say that he targeted, girls that look like her.
Mhm.
Um,
So
and
most of his victims were all women.
yeah, all women.
Mhm.
Yeah, all women. it started off with the sexual abuse, like he'd kill them, have sex with them, and then later on down the line, it was just murder. That's what he was looking
Yeah.
for. It was just murder, not even the sex part of it.
Mm.
But yeah, he he was definitely an interesting case for the serial killers.
Was he disposing of their bodies too?
No, I think he would just leave them there. I think he a few of them he would take to the mountains and leave them out there or whatever.
Yeah.
But he admitted to like 30 murders, but a lot of people say that it could be up to 100 different women.
So the info I had was he dismembered them
He may have.
and
I
then
don't think it was all of them, but
with a
he may.
hacksaw, and then he would scatter the body parts across multiple locations to
Yeah, I
confuse.
think it was a couple cases. I don't think it happened all the time.
Yeah, and then he would some of his victims he would put them in like shallow graves, and that was basically it.
Yeah. He's he came to Colorado to a resort town. Like his thing was colleges, universities,
Mm.
breaking into dorm rooms, and it was easy targets. And he was a pretty distinguished guy. Later on in life, he moved to Colorado, started targeting women, at ski resorts and shit like that. He'd
Okay.
wear an arm sling, like like to simulate that he had a broken arm,
Right.
and he would use that psychology because he'd approach a woman and good looking dude, I got a broken arm, I need a ride or whatever. They wouldn't feel threatened by it,
Oh, okay.
because he was using that psychology against them or whatever.
Mm.
And he found easy prey doing that. It's just crazy
Yeah.
to think that such a normal dude, such a successful and everyday type of guy, killed so many women.
All over one heartbreak, huh?
All over one heartbreak and a fucked up childhood.
Wow. I've heard of stuff like that happening, where people just can't take the breakup and have like, sorry to say, but commit suicide.
Oh
Things,
yeah.
things like that. I've heard of it. I've known of one person that I personally knew that
Yeah, no,
actually did that. You know what I'm saying? And
it's real shit, and it's
yeah,
the mind, the human mind is so powerful. It's so powerful in how we love, how we live, all of the past shit that computes in there and that we've stored in there over the years. It's so powerful that it makes us do fucking crazy shit.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Even outside of the realm of a serial killer, I'm talking about like normal everyday to day life. We do some crazy shit just because the power of our mind. It controls everything we do,
yeah,
and sometimes it could put bad shit in there too, where something that we would never believe we would do, we end up doing.
yeah. But like we were saying, like 2025, we don't really see a lot of this going on anymore. As far as we don't hear about it. I mean, I think
Yeah, it's usually one-offs. It's the guy at the fucking bus stops, going on a stabbing spree where he stabs one or two guys, or you know, it's the school shootings where a kid goes in, shoots a couple people, and then ends his life.
right.
I
Plus,
believe it all stems from the same place, though.
sure.
It's childhood trauma, the way that they grew up, and mental health.
Nowadays, you're not going to get away, and if you do, it's not going to be for long.
Yeah, it's not going to be for long.
It won't be for long.
Absolutely, 100%. It's not going to be for long.
Yeah, yeah. So 2025, they say there's somewhere around 25 to 50, somewhere in that area, serial killers that still exist. There's no single profession that dominates, why they're serial killers or anything related to that. But they do say that they think a lot of them are truckers. So
Okay.
they're traveling state to state, picking up transients, picking up sex workers.
Yeah, and apparently there's a lot of I didn't know this. I don't know much about trucking, but apparently there's a lot of prostitution at truck stops and shit like that.
Oh, okay.
So I can see that. I can see where that's coming from. Like, you know, these women that just come from wherever, and they're in a dark parking lot, and
Yeah.
truck driver fucking does what he does and then offs them or whatever. So I can see that.
Yeah. I just don't see how people can ask for rides like, back in the day, they'd put their, thumb up, let me get a ride. I
And
see that
you know
much
that
more, but
and that had a lot to do with the count of murders, right? Back in
Mhm.
the 70s, like rural towns, and no buses running through, so everybody's means of transportation was hitchhiking,
Right.
right? And so I can see why there were so many murders that happened, back in the day
Right.
opposed to now,
So don't pick up any hitchhikers, people.
right?
Let's not do that. You know what I'm saying?
No, I hear
Um,
that.
yeah, so I mean that's basically all I got. Unless you have anything you want to add.
No, so final closing, we talked about these these few cases and these few serial killers, and you know the root cause, what we all know, that the stem of it was childhood trauma, right? We can go back and we can honestly say that these guys these guys had a rough upbringing. They had something in their lives that started at an early age and carried with them. Mental health, it's a real thing. Get yourself checked. We're at the time in our lives to where this shit's available now. Doctors can prescribe medication, or you can have somebody to talk to about this stuff. But it's a real thing, and we should definitely take advantage of talking about it.
Yeah, and if you see anybody that needs help and you think they might need some help, say something or do something about it.
Yeah, it might sound cliche, but see something, say something. That goes a
Yeah.
long way.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
be a good person, be a good parent, be a good role model. Because that'll go a long way. And studies have shown what we talked about. It starts at an early age, and just be a good person.
And we still got t-shirts up on roguetees.com. Check out
Yep,
Adam's shirt right there.
the real uncut.
It's straight off the website.
So, roguetees.com, rogue with
Yeah,
the
with the
rogue
Z at the
tees.
Rogue Tees, ROGUETEEZ.com.
Yeah, so we appreciate you. Like, follow, share. Catch us on Apple Podcast, Spotify, anywhere you catch your favorite podcast. You'll find us, The Real Uncut. All your social media networks, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all of that. We appreciate you. Thanks for watching this week's episode, The Mind of a Monster. I hope you enjoyed. As always, keep it raw, keep it real, keep it uncut. Peace.
Peace.